Hello, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. Impeach Trump or not impeach Trump? Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for coming back. You always come back, you always comment, you always make this fun. Right? For me, it's a great way to get things off my chest, coming on here and ranting a bit. It's a great way to use you guys as a soundboard for my ideas, because your comments, I'm like, okay, that was cool, I didn't see that there. Helps me think, right? And you guys, I hope you enjoy commenting, because I know it helps other people. And I know you got to get ideas from other people, and then you get to do your version of the rant. You get to do the written rant. Anyways, I caught this information. I've been waiting for a time to do this video, and it just kind of came out. There was some bullshit poll that said 40% of Americans would be in favor of impeaching Trump. Now, I know it's oversampling and it's directed bullshit, but there's something else about it, right? There's this thing called predictive programming, right? It's a way to structure the future and direct people. We just might call it political persuasion, right? It's a way for those social engineers, political engineers, to indoctrinate people using the media system. But the system of media has changed, hasn't it? Here we are on YouTube, and we can talk about them. And I can reach anywhere from 5,000 to 500,000, just depending on whether or not the subject matter is good and how many people are covering it and how it works. Some people get, and I haven't got 500,000 yet, but I bet I could get there with a video someday. But some people get millions of video hits, millions of views. There are some channels that are so powerful that they reach more than satellite news networks. Isn't that incredible? So this predictive programming model, this method of using media to persuade, to push people around, right, to convince them of facts that aren't true, that otherwise they would believe true were it not for the alternative right. So what we do on here is incredibly important. Incredibly important. Trump is in big trouble. He's taking it from all sides. This guy has some massive nuts, right, to be taking on the establishment media, the establishment powers that be in general, the political establishment, not only on the left, but also on the right. He seems to be a pragmatic or practical president. He doesn't talk about conservatism. He doesn't talk about freedom, and those kind of things bother me. I wish he would. He just talks about what's good for America. And so far, I kind of like the things he's doing. I want to see more of it. But on the bad side, on the flip side, Trump's willingness to take action, to step out, right? Step out in front of the mic and say, this is what we're doing. He is making himself a massive target. Right? One of those things is, I believe he faces assassination, a coup d'etat. He's also facing political assassination. Everyone's looking for a chance to put the knife in his back. Right? They're looking for a lie so that they can overcapitalize on it. They would love to impeach Trump. And why impeach him? Because that is a politically public lampooning of a political figure, and it doesn't happen all that often. I would really like to see members of the House and the Senate impeached. I would love to see members of the Supreme Court impeached. If you read the Constitution, it says the Supreme Court can sit, right, in times of good behavior. Right? If they're not behaving well, that means we can get rid of them. They can be impeached and removed. It would be unprecedented because no one's done it. Right? And they like to look at the Supreme Court as some sort of gods of judgment, but they're not. Right? Anyone in public office should be impeached if they can't be politically fired. And I believe that's a fact also. There has to be a method for removal. But, anyways, Trump, right, the president, is always front and center on the impeachment board. And the more action he takes, this I will promise you, the more action he takes that drives the leftists, the radical left, the liberals, the Democrats, the communists, and even the stated socialists out there, they're going to holler louder and louder for the impeachment of Donald Trump, President of the United States. What do you guys think of that? Have you predicted it? Have you been waiting for the press to start? It took them, what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, and they already have polls coming out. And once again, I know they're bullshit. You more than likely know that they're bullshit. But where does the rubber meet the road, right? This channel is about prepping. The need for prepping. The need for prepping because of shit hitting the fan and the end of the world as we know it. Right? The potential for Armageddon and the apocalypse. What we're seeing is that within 2 weeks, talk of impeachment's coming out. And also open talk, and suggestion by members of the government that it would be interesting or good to see a coup occur. I mean, there are people calling for his assassination, like Madonna. You know, that is a federal offense. It's a felony. Yet they're so brazen to think that they're immune, right? And the outrageous mentality they have as leftists, as radicals, right, means that they're going to start coming, and the more Trump does, the more they're going to come after him. So impeachment, yes, but what does that mean for us? An impeachment of Trump for nothing, right? This scream and clamoring for it is going to excite more of the radicals. I'm really not worried about Trump being impeached. Not at this stage. He hasn't done anything wrong. Right? He has done nothing wrong. Nothing. In fact, nothing Democrat presidents in the last 3 administrations haven't done, and certainly FDR, one of the great all-time socialist jerk-off presidents. Right? Okay. But what does that mean for us? I'm not worried about Trump leaving office. There's a Republican House and a Republican Senate. What I am concerned about is the radicalization, the overexcitement, right? The building of anticipation by these radical fools. And when someone pulls the trigger, off they run, right? And they're committing mayhem, having not protests, but riots, right? That is shit it's the fan. That starts shit it's the fan hotspots. And when they start fires, those are literal hotspots. And the more they push this, the more they push these radicals around mentally by telling them, hey, he should be impeached. Hey, there needs to be an assassination. Hey, there could be a coup tomorrow. Do you want to be part of it? The more willing these radical leftists are going to be to join and participate. What that means for us, we need to prepare. We need to have food. And if you're not wealthy, you can buy bulk food, bulk rice, bulk beans. You can do your best to store canned meats like Spam, right? Other high-protein sources as well as canned vegetables. Whatever you can do. And if you got more money, of course, the long-term food storage is great. In both cases, you can eat it. Tastes fine. Tastes good, right? And it's free. And with, what do we call that? Inflation. With inflation, what happens? The cost of things goes up, so food is actually an investment. You're saving money long term by buying food when it's cheap. And speaking of that, England, jolly old England, has just decided to start doing food rationing. That is, you can only buy so much of certain types of food. I think vegetables in this case. Why is that? Because of drought conditions, bad weather conditions, bad harvests. And so they're starting to see food rationing. That should be a major red flag, and I'll probably talk about that in another video. But predictive programming, that is what these bastards are doing. It is a psychological operation against the United States of America. That's what this talk of impeachment is about. Because they really can't impeach Trump, but they want the masses to hear it in their heads and go, ooh, is he going to be impeached? Is it possible? What's he doing wrong? And they watch the news and they start hearing the mainstream newscasts. But the good news, right, the silver lining on this cloud is people don't run to CNN. Fox News even. They may go there, get some news, and then look for an alternative viewpoint. Welcome to the alternative right media. That's what we're doing on here. I offer a little bit of news typically, throw out some facts, throw out some conjecture, and turns into an op-ed where I discuss my opinion and why you should be having food, water, shelter, clothing, and a means of self-defense, coupled with the plan, right? Because if shit goes down, you're going to need a plan and you're going to need to execute it. My kids know that if something goes down and they're in school, their asses are out of there. They're to get back to the rally point, right? And then we execute the plan, right? We go from there. That's what we do, right? Do you have a plan? Right? The rest of my group, they fall in line too. They determine on their own time frames and their lives how it goes. So, I mean, I've got a very complicated plan, and I'm sure you do too. You start with a simple plan, and then you can develop it, refine it, make it as complicated as you want. But the most important thing is to have food, shelter, clothing, right, water, and a means of self-defense inside your plan. Because these idiots, the opposition to Trump, isn't really opposition to Trump. It is a chance for them to foment revolution-style change. They can't get rid of the Constitution and our belief and understanding in it. Not yet. But if they can just throw it to the side with a violent revolution, with a coup against Trump. And again, I recommend you watch the video I've done on coup d'etat with Trump and how it works. Historical references that I've made in there. Coups are not for little countries in South America, in Africa, and the Middle East. Coups happen in large superpower-style nations, and they are very complex, but they can be done. And the just mere discussion of impeaching Trump by radicals, right, that is dangerous. Everyone in the media throughout the 90s and the teens and the aughts, right, all they've done is talk about how the radical right is dangerous, how the radical right is dangerous. But I don't see these radical right people having protests where they set fire to police cars, where they pull bricks out of the ground and throw them through windows. I don't see radical right having rallies where they beat the shit out of women. I don't see radical right at protests become violent against police. I don't see it. It is not the radical right. It is not the alternative right that is the enemy of the state. It is the radical leftists, the progressives, the communists. Oh yeah, they come right out. They'll tell you they're communists. They are the dangerous ones. They're dangerous historically as social fascists and commies, and they're equally dangerous today. We need to be on guard and we need to be prepared. And that's the message of this video, right? Impeach Trump? Not really, but it is about radicalizing factions that are in opposition to your Constitution and your freedom. And all you and I can do is prepare. So that's what I come to you and say, please prepare. Once again, click subscribe, click like, click the share button, share with friends, family, and loved ones. They need to get prepared. You don't want them knocking on your door, right? Going, hey, we hear you got some beans. You don't need that. We need to tell them, get out there now. Look at what the fuck's going on. So share this video, share all Shit It's the Fan videos that you find useful. And I also want to thank you guys for clicking on sponsors and clicking the fan funding button. It has been fantastic. It comes up in the middle of the videos and it's always down to the lower right of the video itself. All that does is help encourage me here. You kind of fund the things I do, funds the projects I do that allow me to get better insight. It helps pay for the channel and my time, in other words. Oh man. And speaking of time, I think I need to get dressed and go off to work. Hi ho, hi ho. Right, I've got a 9 to 5-er to go. You guys, take care. Right? Semper Fi. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours? Man, stay frosty out there. Stay frosty.